Hello and thanks for joining us on TCM. I'm Tiffany Vasquez. The British production company Hammer Studios is credited with revitalizing the horror genre in the 1950s. But the studio also excelled at science fiction. And coming up next is the third film in its popular sci-fi franchise about a rocket scientist known as Professor Quatermass. From 1967, it's 5 million years to Earth. Also known as Quatermass in the Pit, the movie finds the professor involved in the excavation of what seems to be a Nazi weapon from World War II. But it's actually a Martian spacecraft that could reveal the origin of mankind, yet could also unleash destructive forces mankind can't handle. Andrew Keir, who was a Hammer regular, stars as Quatermass. There were 4 films in the series, starting with The Creeping Unknown in 1955, and then Enemy from Space in 1957. The final film of the franchise is Quatermass Conclusion, released in 1979. 5 Million Years to Earth is considered the best of the 4 films, all of which were based on a television program by Nigel Neal, who also wrote the scripts for all except the first movie. Hammer was going to hire Val Guest to direct since he'd steered the first 2 movies to box office success, but he was busy writing the James Bond spoof Casino Royale, so the studio hired Roy Ward Baker to helm the production. From 1967, also starring James Donald and Barbara Shelley, here's 5 Million Years to Earth. 5 Million Years to Earth was directed by Roy Ward Baker. Baker went on to make several more films for Hammer in the 1970s, a number of which were horror movies. But according to one source, Baker didn't like being known as a horror director. During his early career, he directed mostly dramas, including the 1952 thriller Don't Bother to Knock with Marilyn Monroe, which he made during a 3-year stint in Hollywood for 20th Century Fox. Baker's most notable film is probably the acclaimed 1958 Tale of the Titanic, A Night to Remember. Don't go away, because up next is this week's edition of The Essentials. Host Alec Baldwin and his special guest Tina Fey will be introducing the first film that Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn made together.